we're getting pretty close to finished with everything. What they spent time today doing was grading out the driveway. So you guys can see that they laid all this out. Landscape guys, they came in and started laying out parts and pieces for me. And you can see they put the landscape lighting in. So they're lighting up these trees. We've got these lights in. They're going to be lighting up this tree, our ironwood tree. So they're going to put some light up on this guy. And we have to be 10 feet away. We have to be 10 feet away from the property line. And so I'm not sure if these guys are hitting the mark or not. We might have to adjust those a little bit. I'll pull a tape on them. But they've got the landscape lighting in, and then they tied in the valve here for the irrigation. There's the main water box right there for the water meter. But then they put this box in here as the spot for tying in the irrigation to the main water line. So they got that done yesterday, actually. And you can see they just run these water lines, the electric lines. They just dig a little bit of a trench and put them in. They're not very deep. I'm going to have them maybe clean those up a little bit. And then over here, they put the lights in for the ironwood tree. So we were going to put the saguaro cactus here, but decided not to put the saguaro cactus in here because that ultimately went to Saguaro High School, as I've said in previous videos. But what they did do is they put in here the lights so that they're ready to go for when they plant that tree. And here's the water that they're going to use to water the ironwood once it goes in. This is by the way, the center of the radius. Tanner and I laid that out yesterday morning. We laid it out so that we would know what the radius is on the driveway. I don't think I said this before, but when they were digging this trench over here, they accidentally hit my Cox Communication internet line. And so I'm in the middle of a Zoom meeting. All of a sudden my internet drops. And I called and asked what was going on, and they said, yeah, we think we just hit your internet line. So they ended up patching it back together for me. It was a good connection, like you normally would do coax cable. They just put it together nicely. This is still a work in progress. Eventually we're going to have the line of ficus going in. So there's the trench. They're going to move all this piping over into that trench, and then what they'll do is they'll put the ficus trees on this side right along the edge of that wall, connecting it all the way down to that wall as you see down there. So that'll be that connection there, and you can see what they're doing for all this grading. So they put a lot of time and effort into getting this all graded out today. But they have a lot of work still to do to make sure that this gets done properly. Again, they ran the wires for the lights here for this Ocotillo. We're going to have this guy lit up, and then we're also going to be lighting up the Palo Verde tree over here. So the Palo Verde will get some uplights on it. That'll be nice. This is that stockpile of river rock. They're going to take that and reline the driveway. That'll be nice. What's really nice is that I have basically recovered all of this part of my property, because it used to be oleanders all the way back to the stones here, and the oleanders again went all the way back here, and I couldn't use any of this. It wasn't usable property, but now we've got all this done, and my quail are wishing they had a home. They're a little bit disturbed because they trimmed up their nighttime spot. I hope those guys make it okay tonight in the citrus tree that was trimmed up. So what they did is they trimmed up all these trees. Including this mesquite. This is just a pile of all the branches that they chopped out. That's going to take quite a load in order to get that hauled away, but they'll do that next week and that'll be gone. And we now know what we're doing with the solar panels back here. This, by the way, is the corner of my house. They've been able to protect and keep that okay. But they're going to be putting the solar panels in here. I've taken pictures of this already in the past. But that edge right there is actually 60 feet, and they're going to come another 12 feet here, just about to where my shadow is, I'm thinking, right about in here, about another 12 feet, because it's going to be 2 feet deep on the panels. 2 panels deep instead of 3 deep. That was the plan. So, and that was because they wanted to make sure that they were not shaded by the guest house. So they figured out what that would take, and they're made an adjustment to a longer panel, not quite as deep. They also can't be above this wall. Town of Paradise Valley will not let it be above 6 feet above that wall. And then one of the things that I didn't expect was that they brought this pipe. This is the guest house electric, and they ran it all the way out to this point, which is great because these rocks right here are the corner of the house, the guest house. And so that pipe, this pipe is basically, it will run around to the back and be on the back of the house right in this location. So I was super excited when they were able to get that pipe all the way out this far. I thought it was going to be somewhere in the middle there, but now it's within striking distance of the guest house. So that's definitely an advantage. And then over here, that's the stub for the solar. That's not the final location. They're going to be moving that almost certainly. And then they trimmed up the citrus trees. So that is a big deal. So they trimmed up these citrus trees, and that's where the quail at nighttime, they roost up in here. So we're gonna see if that has caused too much of a disturbance for them, because now we've trimmed up these trees. I think they look great. They look great now that they've been trimmed up. I was hesitant to have them do it. And by the way, these are all sour oranges. Man, I wish they weren't. I'd have oranges coming out of my ears, but these are sour oranges, so can't eat those. This is my apricot tree, still looking really good, nice and healthy. Got to throw some water on it here pretty soon, but they'll have the water up and running next week, and we'll get some water into that because we disconnected the water and tied it in here. So now we've got the water tied in. That's valve number 4 from our box. So that's good. And they, as you can see here, they moved my cover for the 4Runner. They moved it out of the way so that they could then come in here and do grading work for, this will all be DG back here, compacted very nicely. And one thing I didn't share was that they are going to put the Tesla Powerwalls back here. So next week they're going to pour a slab, a 2-foot slab from one end of the wall to the other, and then the Powerwall batteries will sit on that slab and then be attached to the wall on the north face. So that's nice. It's the north face of the wall, which is out of the sun, except of course in the summer at the end of the day, but it'll have some shade from the Palo Verde tree there. So where they were originally going to put the panels, I wanted the panels right there at right where they're going to be, but they wanted to move them up here in front of the 4Runner is where they thought they were going to have to put them because of distance to the main electric panel. I'm basically walking over the top of the trench that they ran the solar and the guest house electric in. They do have a run. Valve number 3 runs out to the olive tree and the pine tree. Valve number 4 runs out to the citrus and the apricot tree. So that's the story there. And then that line runs along the edge of the driveway, off the edge of the driveway. So that one could be dug up in the future, although I certainly would like to avoid that if I could. And almost done here. One of the big things they were able to do was to get the valve boxes installed. They look very nice. They did them square. And inside of the valve boxes, there's valve, see here, valve 1 and 2 and 3 and 4, but there's four in each of them because there are a tree and shrub valve running up to each of these locations. And then they did a backflow preventer so that the irrigation water doesn't contaminate the main water line. So that's the backflow preventer that is installed there. That thankfully the landscaping company's been fantastic. KO's Landscaping. They've been fantastic in everything that they've done so far, including the lighting and all of that. And then this is the on the right, the transformer for the lights, the transformer box. And on the left is the irrigation controller. It's a Rachio that was recommended that I do. And you can see that it's just going to be plugged in now to an extension cord because this whole area is going to be rebuilt by the solar guys. So what they're going to do is they're going to build, put a brand new solar panel in there, and a bunch of other equipment will all be installed. And they're going to include in that a 2-gang or a 4-plex box. 2 of those outlets will then be available for me to plug in the controller and the transformer. So that's part of their scope of work. That'll get taken care of once the solar panels are in, but that's not going to be until a month from now, probably, before that gets done. So we'll be patient with that. But this is pretty much the lay of the land as we sit now. We've got all of the sleeves in that they were running for the irrigation as well as the electric for the lights. There'll be 2 lights on this guy, and then there are going to be 2 lights on the base of this mesquite tree. And again, they've run the plumbing through. And one of the special things I was able to get was I was able to get them to run a sleeve under here so that I didn't have to do it. The KOs took care of it, and I really appreciated they did that. And they ran a water line for me, and they ran a light for me. That light is going to go, whatever it is that I decide to put in here. We'll put a layer of DG down, then we'll put a couple of our boulders that are out here. We've got a lot of pretty boulders that came from, whoops, one more thing I wanted to just take a quick snap on. Okay, that's all looking good. What I wanted to do was they gathered up all of my pretty boulders. So I got to give the Johnsons, who I bought the property from, a hand, because either they or somebody before them had done some pretty boulders. So we're going to put several of these boulders in that landscape spot by the front door, throw a light on it. I might even put some plants on there just to make it look good. But these, we'll pick out a couple of choice boulders and we'll move them up a couple of them, 3 of them, and stack them into hopefully a pretty formation for that. So anyway, that's it. The project continues. We're getting closer and closer to getting everything done, and very excited to have the project progressing, and pretty much progressing as expected and hoped. And that's all you can hope for, really. So good stuff. All right, I'm going to sign off for now, and we'll pick it up at another time to do an update.